All of this is happening at the same time. Things from my past are starting to show up. Um, my freedom is gone. I am a free spirit. I'm a Sagittarius, and any of you guys who know about Sagittariuses or believe in all that jazz is that we do not like to be caged in. We don't like to feel trapped because when we do, we get depressed. So the fact that I couldn't go to the gym, I had canceled several vacations. Um, even had tried and reached out to several therapists and tried to get help. Like I knew I was changing. Like I was definitely like my highs and low were so bad that I'm surprised my friends weren't like, we're not talking to you anymore because yesterday you were perfectly fine and like way up here. And then today you were way down here, you know? So I literally tried everything. And me and a very important, very close person that I hold dear to my heart, we had gotten several arguments, disagreements. I wasn't liking how the individual was speaking to me. I wasn't liking how they would attack me, my physical appearance, how I carried myself, just who I was as a person. They would attack whenever whatever was going on in their life wasn't going well. So I was the target. And after so long, you can only handle so much. And we had got in one argument one Friday, and they made a comment to me that I'm not going to repeat, but they said something to me that crushed my soul. And I've had lots of things said to me. I've been mistreated more than one time. I mean, who hasn't been mistreated? But this is coming from a person that you put on a certain kind of level, this person that you admire, they're your inspiration. They are the person that I look to when I am in a dark place. I think of them, or I know that, you know what, they need me here, so I'm not going to go there. They, you know, they were the person that would keep me basically on earth. You know, in other words, just definitely keep me going in a positive direction. Help me calm down, think about what the next move is, and we're going to move forward. So with that person hurting me the way that they did, it just made everything worse when I thought it couldn't get worse. Like I could literally feel water just rising up to my neck. Like, it was just such a dark time. It was just like I was just in a fog. So a couple of days later, I was feeling shitty, and I was like, you know, I'm going to go to the river. I'm going to sit there, and I'm going to pray. I'm going to meditate. I'm going to do whatever I need to do to get to a place where I can get better. I just wanted to be better. Basically, you know, I wanted to be better. I wanted to be the old Swan, the same old G. Like, that's who I wanted to be again. Like, I didn't like feeling like this, but every avenue I took, it was like a door was closed. And nothing anyone said to me made me feel good or better. Like, all my friends gave me good advice. They were amazing. My family was amazing during this time. But because I was withdrawn from them, I don't think they really realized how bad it was. And even if they did know, it was like I could see them all standing on the other side of a glass, and all they were doing was cheering me on and being positive. But it was like nothing penetrated. Like nothing hit me, nothing made sense to me. It was just like I was numb. So while I was at the river, I prayed and talked to God for hours, and I still felt like poo-poo. And the only thing that ran through my mind was drive your car into the river. Just get it over with, you know, just do it. I mean, it was making sense to me. It was literally making sense to me to where I had positioned my car where I was going to drive it. And the two things that ran through my head was drowning yourself is way too slow. You want it to be over quickly. And the second thing was, this is my mother's only car. That was it. Those were the only two things that ran through my mind. It wasn't about all the people I was leaving. It wasn't about, you know, how this might affect others, really. It was just about making the pain stop. And because that person who hurt me had hurt me so bad that, like, normally I'd visualize their face and I'd be like, oh, I'm not doing that. That's stupid. I could never do that to them. I could never hurt them. I could never leave this earth and leave them here, you know? Couldn't even hear that voice. Could not hear that voice. The only two voices I heard was, this is your mother's car and this is her only means of transportation. The second thing was, it's too slow. So eventually, I just kind of pushed that off to the side and I drove my ass home, which thank God I did. Took some sleeping pills just to go to sleep because I wouldn't stay asleep. Like, I'd wake up, my chest would be beating fast. I'd be worried about things from the past. I'd be worried about things that could possibly happen. I'd be worried about just everything. Like, I was turning into a monster. And it was just crazy. So anyhow, had to get up the next day, go to work. So I got up, you know, I drove to work, and the whole way to work, I just was like having suicidal thoughts. Like, I was like, how am I going to do this? You know, where am I going to go if I do this? Like, will I go to hell? You know, trying to think of anybody that could help me, that could understand me. Like, I just felt unsafe being by myself. So I get to work, and one of my work moms saw me, and we talk every morning. So I went up to her, and they asked me how I was, and I couldn't even fake it anymore. I just broke. Like, I mean, I cried and sobbed, and I told her about the argument me and my friend had. I told them about the argument, or not the argument, but just how I have been feeling for months now, and how I feel helpless. I feel scared. I don't want to be here anymore. I don't know where it's come from. I don't know why it's here. You know, I just want the pain to stop, and the only way I know how to make this pain stop is suicide. So another coworker of mine saw that I was upset, pulled me in the office, talked to me, and I just told her, you know, what's been going on. You know, I have a lot of things I've held on to for my entire life. Now that I'm back in the place where all of it started, it's kicked it all up again. There were times where I thought that my mother was going to pass away. There were times when we had got into arguments that weren't good. There were family members that had passed away that I didn't even have a chance to deal with, like grieve over. You know, I had to worry about my mom and making sure she stays strong enough to live, you know? So I have completely abandoned myself, and I don't know how to get that back. I didn't know what to do. And so she looked at me and she grabbed both of my hands and she said, you need to go get help. And I was like, I've tried to get help. Whenever, you know, I've called these people, no one wants to help me. She was like, you need to go to a facility. She said, you might be there for a week. You might be there for 3 days. I don't know. But you need to tell them this is how you feel, because we love you. We know this isn't you. And we know how much you love to live your life. So you need to get help, because you're at a place that there's nothing we can say that can help you. You need to go, you know, isolate yourself and get help. And I was like, I'm not doing that. Like, I was like, you know, it's not a big, so I was like, I'll think about it. At first I was like, I'll think about it. And I was like, I'm not doing that. That's dramatic. Like, I'm not going to lock myself in a facility. You know, I'm not going to go tell all these people my business. Like, I'm good. I'm going to shake this off. In a few days it'll go away. But I couldn't stop crying while she was talking to me. I could not stop crying. It was bad. I mean, for you all who know me, you know how much what the fuck is that? Sorry, it's a gnat or something. I thought everything would be dead by now. But anyway, you all know how much I love to laugh and cut up or whatever, but I just was walking around like a cloud with a wig on. That's what I felt like I was, just a dark cloud, no soul. That's how I felt. So I went to lunch early that day, and I went to the park. That's where I like to go. You know, cool off, chill, reflect, whatever. And for some reason, what she had said to me earlier that morning, I started to hear her. And it's kind of like you're starving and the only thing they have is fish and you don't like fish. You don't like fish. But the more you get hungry, the more that sounds good. And I was at a desperate space in my life that I was willing to try anything. And even though I thought I was strong enough to beat this, I thought that I knew everything, so I'd have to go through this. You know, I didn't have to go to a facility. I could get through this on my own. It started to sound better to me. I was hopeless. This was my last resort, I felt like. And I had made up my mind that quick. I was like, I cannot worry about anybody else right now because I'm broken. And I can't help anybody else if I can't help myself. I need to get help. So I didn't even go back to work to clock in. I didn't tell anybody else where I was going but two people. That was my mother and my best friend. And I told her what I was doing, what I was going through. Please watch over my mother, you know, while I'm going to be away for a few days. I don't know how long. When I told my mother, that was kind of difficult for me because I keep things from her because my mom is a mom. No one's going to upset their child. No, you know, she wants to help me as much as she can. And so the fact that she couldn't help me or didn't know how to help me and didn't know that this was happening to me, it upset her. I knew it would hurt her. You know, you don't want your children to go through any kind of pain. And this is something that I feel like in the African American community, mental health and stuff like that, we don't talk about it, you know, or we make fun of it kind of. Or I won't say make fun of it, but they're like, oh, she's crazy, you know, but it's real, you know, we all go through it, you know, and so because, you know, our culture can be like that sometimes, you know, it doesn't penetrate to my mom. Like if somebody was telling me what I was telling my mom, I would understand. But my mom, it's like there's a cutoff point, you know, they wish you well, they hope that you get better and find the help that you need, but I just felt like she didn't understand really what I was saying to her, or she didn't want to accept it because I think she would blame herself. I think that she would feel like she didn't feel as a mother, you know, and even though I'm 32 and, you know, I'm grown, I think that it just really hurt her and she felt like it was all had something to do. Maybe she didn't do something right, but it was all about me at this time and me getting help. So those were the only two people I called. So fast forward, we are at the hospital. So I had to go to the ER because I had talked to a co-worker before I left work, and she told me of a place to go that she went to. She was like, you know, she said she had went there when she was having a mental breakdown, and she said they really helped her, and she recommended it. And so I went to that particular place because I felt more comfortable because my mother had worked at this hospital. I have an aunt that works at this hospital, and I felt like if anything was being done wrong or wasn't right, I had a little bit of pull there. So that's where I went. So I checked myself in. Well, I didn't check myself in. I went to the emergency room, correct? So we're at the emergency room. Boom, boom, boom. I talk all over the place, so I'm sorry if this isn't making sense, but I hope it does. So we're at the emergency room now. So COVID is on the move. So any place that you go, especially a medical facility, they're going to, you know, do a screen on you, make sure you don't have a temperature, make sure that you don't have any of the symptoms before they let you in. So after they did that, they, you know, so what brings you to the hospital today? And I was like, oh my God. And like, I'm not even in the emergency room. I'm on the outside of the door. So there's people behind me. And I had to say why I was there. And at first I said I was having mental issues. And they didn't hear me at first because I had my mask on. And so I said, I've considered committing suicide and I was needing to get help. And they were like, oh, okay, well, we'll get you right back, you know, whatever. But the initial shock on their face, the look on their face was shock because I'm so pulled together. You know, I looked like nothing was wrong. Looked like I was probably there to visit somebody, you know. I was broken. And that's what I'm saying. Depression and anxiety looks just like happy, chipper people that looks like they have their stuff together. But I did not have my stuff together. So they took me back, and then they did my vitals and all that stuff, and I was talking to the nurse that checked me in, and we were kind of laughing and cutting up for a second. She kind of took my mind off of things. You know, I think I started to instantly feel better because I felt like I'm doing something for myself, and this is what has to be done. That's what I was starting to feel better. So she asked me, what brings you in? And I said, I've been having suicidal thoughts, and I've been very depressed, and I am just not happy. And she was like, I'm so sorry, honey. She said, and I'm so glad that you're here. We're so glad that you had the strength enough to come in here, and we're going to do everything in our power to make sure you get the treatment that you need. And I said, thank you very much. That made me feel better. Not only did I have to tell that twice that I wanted to kill myself, I had to tell it 5 times to different doctors and nurses before I actually got to where I was going. It wasn't because they didn't believe me, but you run into different nurses and people who are registering you for different things. So you have to keep saying it. And the more you're saying it, the more real it becomes. It's like, damn, at 32 years old, I don't want to live anymore. And really, my life is really just kind of kicking off. 32 years old, I'm single. I ain't got no man. I ain't got no kids running around me. I can really come and go as I please. And this is where I am. So, it's a very humbling and real experience. It takes strength. And I'm thankful I had the strength to get to where I was. So, we're at the facility. So what this facility offered me, well, of course, you go back, it's locked. It's a locked unit. So no one can come in and out unless they have a key. They are a doctor, a nurse, or they're required to be back there. You can't just come back there. I can't just leave. So when I got there, they took my cell phone. I was like, oh, shit. Then they said you can't smoke cigarettes. Oh, shit. You know, I was freaking out. I'm like, what the fuck am I supposed to do here, you know? But I needed help, so take my cigarettes, take my phone. Everyone that needed to know I was there, knew that I was there. So I went through, I was in a room with a doctor, I think a nurse practitioner, a psychiatrist, and a couple other people. I don't know what all their job titles were. So first you're sitting in there and you feel like you're being questioned by the police, you know, but they're all taking notes. They want to know why you're here. They want to know how they can help. They want to know about your history in your family. Is there mental health histories in your mental health history in your family? They want to know any and everything so they can assess you and try to get you the help that you need. And I was very honest with them, and I recommend that. Don't be shameful. You know, this stuff really happens. Like, if you go to the doctor, tell them everything so they can actually help you. They can't help you if you tell them half the stuff. So, tell them everything. I told them about the fight, you know, me and this individual had. I told them about how I've been taking care of my mom. Told them about how I've just been feeling and how depression is painful to me. Like, I didn't mention this earlier, but taking a shower, it was like I was in slow motion. Everything hurt. I didn't have enough energy. I would just cry. I mean, it's just like you're another person. So they started me on a low dosage of an antidepressant. Later on, I discontinued it because I started feeling better, and plus it started to kind of make my anxiety a little worse, which that's a side effect of it. And sometimes you have to try different medications till you find the right one. I just didn't like that one, so I discontinued it as soon as I left treatment. Sorry about the sweat bubbles on my nose. That's what happens when I'm nervous. I just sweat on my nose a little bit, but it's genetic, and I'm okay with it. So anyway, back to the story. So while in treatment, we had group, I think, 3 or 4 times a day. I think we might have met with a psychiatrist once a day, depending on the severity of the issue. 3 hot meals a day, watch TV, whatever channel you want to watch, couches, you have your own room. Well, I had my own room. Some people had to share, but okay, I didn't. And all the activities and all the groups, it might seem stupid at first and you don't want to do that because you're depressed and you're unhappy, but everything in the group, we learn skills that we could use to not have to come to better ourselves, to learn how to combat the depression, combat whatever mental issue that we're going on. They were giving us the tools that we needed to take home with us, so we're prepared when we go back out into the world. And some of the stuff does sound silly. We don't have time for this stuff. You know, I don't have time to do this, and I don't have time to meditate, and I don't have time to write stuff down, and I don't have time to look. Make the time. Because you have to do the work too. You can't just rely on a pill. You can't rely on a psychologist that you talk to once a week. You have to do the work. I had to do the work. So did I miss group? No. Not one time when I was there. Because I needed to know how to live again. I needed to know how to change what I was doing outside of here and make it better, so when I got out of this facility, I know what to do, because there's nobody, like I said, no one can help me. No one made me feel better. Nobody did. So it was literally up to me. I had to put in the work. So I went to all the therapy group sessions. I talked to everybody that was there. I didn't care if they were schizophrenic. I didn't care if what they had done before they had got here. We all had something in common. We were all in some kind of pain or turmoil, and we needed to be healed from it. And, you know, so this was where we ended up at. So, and it was very, like I keep saying, this experience was humbling, because it truly was. Here I am, a homosexual gay male in Kentucky, in a room full of people from every walk of life. Rich, poor, housewife, drug addict, abuse survivor. I mean, people dealing with the loss of a loved one. Every kind of person was in. We were all in the same room. We ate at the same table. We shared our stories. We encouraged each other. And for a lot of people, it may not sound appetizing, or how did that help? It helped me, because it made me realize that I'm not the only one going through this. We're all humans sitting here trying to get to the next phase of our life, and we're trying to be the best versions of ourselves we can be. And I felt like being in there, they helped me just as much as the nurses and doctors did. And I am forever grateful for meeting the individuals I've met, and they made an impact on my life, and I hope I made an impact on their life too. But before I could leave the facility, I had to reach out to the individual who hurt me and explain to them how much they hurt me. And if we could not come to some kind of resolution, or we couldn't figure a way to get past it, I was not allowed to be around that person, because they triggered me. So I thought that was it was hard. It was hard. It was not easy. It was hard. But I did it. And also by that point, I was ready to get the fuck out of there. I had been there for 4 days. I'm seeing all the people leave that I came there with, and I was ready to go. I wanted a cigarette. I wanted to be outside. We couldn't go outside because there was some construction stuff going on. So, you know, I was ready to go. I felt like I had gathered all the things I needed. So they really work for you. I mean, everybody from the nurses to the doctors to the aides, they cater to you because they want you to focus on yourself. And I felt like, just like with anything else, like if you're going to college, if you were starting your own business, whatever, you have to focus and dive into it and dedicate your time to making this dream a reality. And I had to do the work. And I started to feel better. And I ended up getting released. They had set me up before I left the facility with a doctor and I also have blood pressure issues. So that was all out of whack. So they had set me up with a doctor before I left that took my insurance. I had a psychologist when I left. I had a psychiatrist when I left. I had follow-up visits when I left. Like, there is no reason when you leave there to not at least have somewhat a map of what your next step should be. They don't just send you out the door, okay, you're better. No. You have more work to do, you know, and I went to all my doctor's appointments that they had scheduled for me. I had got with a psychiatrist since I left there, and I feel better. I don't feel like that anymore. Have I struggled? Yes. Have I felt down and out? Yes. But I'm healing. And healing that I've learned doesn't have a date on it. It doesn't have a time that says, oh, you're going to be healed by December 8th. No, it's a process, but you have to put in the work. You have to open up, be vulnerable, and say what you need, you know, and do things that make you happy, you know, that can keep you happy. So let's see here. I have a little paper. Let's see, where am I? Blah, 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 blah. Okay, so anyway, that's the story of, you know, how my depression almost consumed me, and it almost got me to the point to where I did not want to be here anymore. And I'm trying not to cry right now because I cannot believe that was just a couple of months ago. And I'm making this video because looking at me right now, looking at me right now, I can't believe I went through that. I can't believe that happened to me. I can't believe that, how it feels. It hurts. It hurts so bad. It was one of the worst times of my entire life. And I don't wish it on anybody. And I'm making this video because I don't care what color you are. I don't care what ethnicity you are. I don't care what background you come from. I don't care about any of that. Your mental health is just as important as your physical health. And I feel like if you're not feeling right, and this goes for your friends and family. If your friends and family say something's off with you, or if you notice that your friend or your sister and your brother is just not acting right, help them. Guide them, you know. Denial is a MFer. You know, I was in denial for a long time. I thought I could just get through this until I couldn't. And I'm so thankful that I was aware of myself enough to know that I feel unsafe and I need help. So, before I wrap this up, I do want to give you guys some numbers and websites to visit, that if you're ever feeling like this, or you know someone that needs help, here's a way that you can guide them in the right direction. So, the first website I have for you is the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, and the website is afsp.org. And then there's also, on that website, you will find resources for crisis, mental health, substance misuse treatment. You will find resources for issues such as self-harm, and it's a huge list. So once you get to that website, there's a huge list of things that they can help you find. They'll help you find doctors, groups, support. I mean, the help is out there, you know, and Google pretty much is like the map to everything. So if you ever, you know, are having these feelings or issues, I recommend going to that website. You can also call the National Suicide Prevention Hotline or the Lifeline, and you can speak with a counselor. That number is 1-800-273-8255. Or you can do what I did and go to the emergency room. I recommend, if you are going to do that, go to a hospital that you trust, that is a good hospital, because sometimes these hospitals these days, they don't give a damn about you. So, and be honest with them. Once you get to the facility, be honest with them. Be transparent. They can't help you if you're not honest with yourself. And so, yeah, that's pretty much it. I want to say, just please don't give up or give in. We are here for you. We want you to live. We need you here. And I love you guys. And I hope that this video reaches the people it needs to reach. I hope it shows encouragement, strength. I hope somebody somewhere can take something away from this video. It was not easy for me to sit up here and be that vulnerable with you guys, but it has been on my heart. And my main goal in life is to help as many people as I can. So I love you guys. Stay strong. We're going to get through this stupid pandemic. And I love you guys. And until next time, be safe and stay beautiful. Bye.